everyone. In the former video, I talked about the fact that you have different grades of organisms, right? We have our cells, we have tissues, we have organs, and we have organ systems. So in this video, we are going to be specifically focusing on our cells. Now, the cells, what are the cells? The cells are basically this basic structural and functional unit of living organisms. What does that mean? That is, if you want to break that thing down, we are just trying to say that a cell, every organism consists of cells. Simply, that's just what it means. When you say the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of living organisms, that means when you say structural is what you can see, what you can feel, what you can touch. That's the structural. As you touch your skin, as you touch your hand is a group of different millions, billions, trillions of and quadrillions of cells. In fact, that's even an understatement. Now, and these cells, they all have their structures, and these structures is adapted to their function. So that's why we say the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of living organisms. Do you understand that? So that means all living organisms are basically consisting of cells. Now, in this channel, you can check out the video I made, which I explained, I broke down the cell theory in detail. You can check that out in this channel, and I'll probably include it in this playlist for this crash course biology. But moving on, let's talk about the cell and different types of cells. Now, a cell, what is basically a cell? A cell is basically any basic part of an organism that is bound by either a cell membrane or a cell wall. Now, there are two different types of cells we're talking about today. We're talking about plant cells and animal cells. For plant cells usually have irregular shapes, often rectangular like this. Then you have the cell wall. So this is like you have different like a double. It's like a doubled wall for the plants. These are the other cells, and so on and so forth. So this outer covering is the cell wall. This inner covering is the cell membrane. Now let's talk about what is inside the cell. Now, inside this plant cell, we have what is known as the nucleus. Now, the nucleus is the major part of the cell. Let's just put it at this edge. Now, this is not the biggest part, but it's the major part. I'll explain why. Then the biggest part in the cell is a large vacuole, and this vacuole it's often used for it has its function. I'll talk about the functions. This is the vacuole, VACUOLE, and this is the nucleus. Let us make it lines. This is the nucleus. Now, for something like this, we have in these plant cells have subcellular structures known as plastid, and an example of this plastid is chloroplast. Now, chloroplasts are the green-like tiny structures, and if you are a little bit adept in biology, you would have understood that chloroplasts have a very important function in life. So this chloroplast. So there are different types of plastids. One of them is just the chloroplast. Now, I could keep listing different parts of a cell, but these are the basic parts we'll be explaining today. Now, for this nucleus, what's the function of the nucleus? Now, this nucleus in a plant cell, it performs the function of like the administrator. Now, in a home, there's always the father and the mother, right? Now, the father is the head of the home, is a decision maker, is one who controls the home and organizes the home. So, if you look at this cell compared to a home, in this cell home, the nucleus is like the father, and this nucleus is like the major component of the cell, because without the nucleus, the cell wouldn't exist. The nucleus is giving the cells instructions. Every instructions of every activity the cell carries out, it is automated and controlled by the nucleus. So the nucleus is like the head of the cell, and this nucleus contains the genetic material of the plant, so that whenever this plant wants to produce its offspring, and whenever this plant wants to undergo sexual reproduction, this nucleus, the nucleus of the cell, it is the nucleus that will organize that and will ensure that the correct types of materials are transferred and combined in order to produce that new organisms. So more on that in another video of this series. Now, then we have the cell membrane. Now, this cell membrane, it is basically that outer covering that contains the the innermost part of the cell. So inside the cell membrane, you will find the cytoplasm, and that cytoplasm is like the liquid part of the cell. Now, but basically, we also have the protoplasm and we have the cytoplasm. Those are basically the suspension medium, just like the plasma. So that's the plasma of the cell. Then we have the cell wall. The cell wall is unique to plants. So this cell wall, it is unique to plants because only plants have cell wall. Animals do not have the cell wall, and this cell wall, it is used to provide rigidity to the plant. So it makes the plant rigid. That is why when you touch a plant, when you look at a plant, you can see that it's always rigid, it's always strong and solid. So when you punch the bark of a plant, of a tree, you can see that it's very strong and your hand will begin to hurt. So that strength is caused by this cell wall and many other supporting structures in the plant we'll be talking about in a later video. Then we also have the vacuole. This vacuole is basically used for osmoregulatory purpose. And what is osmoregulation? Don't be put off by the Greek grammar. What it simply means is that osmo is water and regulation is control. So what vacuole is just for water control. So what it does is that now in this plant, in this cell is not only where it is. This cell has its environment, and in this cell environment, and if you don't understand what I'm saying, you can check out a video I talk about the cell environment in biology in this channel. So I explain how the interactions of the cell and the cell environment can make it carry out water regulations. Now in this vacuole, if the water is too much in the plant cell, it is going to push them out, and if it's too small, it's going to push it inside. Then we also have different other structures like your chloroplast, and your chloroplast carries out what? Photosynthesis. I know you've heard of it before. This is a very easy scientific term, and that is why we are all still alive today, because photosynthesis is the power process of the universe, or rather of our earth. Sorry. So these are the major parts of a plant. Then let's go on to the animal cells. The animal cells is not very different from a plant cell. It's also like this, but instead of that, it often has an irregular shape. Now let's assume this is an amoeba. So this is the dividing part. So any part outside these dotted lines is called the ectoplasm. Within the dotted lines is called the endoplasm. Now everything combines to form the protoplasm, and then this animal cell also has its nucleus. The nucleus is always at the center. So the nucleus is at the center. Then this is the nucleus, just like up your nucleus, and so on and so forth. We have many other parts. This one also has is vacuole, but the vacuole of a plant cell they are small, so it has small vacuole instead of large vacuoles. Now you can see that if we talk about what are the differences between plants and animal cells, you can already see them now. You can see when plant has a large vacuole, the animal cell has a small vacuole. When plant has a cell wall, animal cell does not have cell wall. You can see when plant has its nucleus at the edge of the cell, animal cell has the nucleus at the center. So if this comes out in your exam, you can see readily that I've just given you 3 differences between plants and animal cells, directly, live and direct. Very good. So now, in summary, we've talked about plant cells and animal cells. We've talked about the differences and the structures inside your plants and animal cells. Thank you for watching.